47 seconds left, Lily whispered. The number blinked on her medical alert monitor, pulsing like a countdown to disaster. Her breath caught in her chest as turbulence slammed the plane sideways. Oxygen masks dropped. Passengers screamed. And still, no one came. She was strapped into her aisle wheelchair, abandoned in the center of the business class cabin, powerless. "Where's Mom?" she thought, blinking against the sting in her eyes. "Just a little turbulence, folks," came a chipper voice over the intercom. But Lily knew turbulence. She'd won a National Science Prize for a paper on flight stabilization. This wasn't weather. This was deliberate. Just minutes ago, flight attendant Jessica Monroe had leaned in close to her, smile tight and voice ice cold. "You special needs types always want the spotlight," she had said, loud enough for passengers to hear. Then she dumped a full cup of orange juice into Lily's lap and walked away. She hadn't just said it. She did it in front of everyone. And now, in the chaos, no one was helping. Her mother, Amara Thompson, Delta Airlines Vice President of Finance, had gone 3 rows back for an emergency call and never returned. Lily's arms were trembling. Her monitor beeped faster. If she seized here, strapped in mid-aisle, it could be deadly. 3 hours earlier, it had all felt like a dream. Amara had surprised Lily with business class seats on Flight 4502 from Chicago to London. It was a celebration. Lily's design on rocket stabilization had just won her first place at the National Young Scientists competition. Amara had even arranged for Lily to attend a closed-door aerospace investors summit, the kind of event where adults wore dark suits and phrases like next-gen propulsion were whispered over champagne. Lily had felt so proud wheeling onto that plane, her mother's hand on her shoulder, her badge pinned to her NASA backpack. That pride cracked the moment Jessica Monroe laid eyes on her. Jessica hadn't tried to hide it. The smirk, the glance at the wheelchair, the whispered, "Not again," to her colleague. When Amara calmly presented their boarding passes, Jessica's smile turned sharp. "These seats are for people who actually need them," she said. "We've reassigned you to row 34. "But my daughter's medical file was submitted in advance," Amara said, voice still cool. "These seats are ADA compliant. That's why we booked them." Jessica leaned in, her voice like sugar-laced poison. "Some people think having a condition means the whole world has to bend around them." Then, turning to the nearby white family now seated in their spots, "Don't worry, they'll move." Shame burned across Lily's face. Passengers nearby began to watch. Some looked away. A few looked guilty. No one said anything. Until James Whitfield, retired executive and the kind-eyed gentleman from check-in, rose from his seat. "Miss Monroe," he said calmly, "I think you're in violation of the Air Carrier Access Act." Jessica turned fast. "Sir, I'll ask you to stay out of this." But she moved them, back to row 14. The damage, though, had been done. Lily sat stiff in her chair, mortified, tears threatening behind her glasses. And then came the spill. Jessica, with a fresh drink cart and a frozen smile, reached across Lily to hand someone a drink. "Oops," she said as apple juice cascaded down onto Lily's tablet and her exposed thigh. Gasps, murmurs, phones raised. The poison pill clause was about to be activated. And no one in this cabin, not even Jessica Monroe, was ready for what came next. The jet taxied to a smooth halt at Heathrow Airport under a pale London dawn. Rain streaked the windows in thin, determined lines, and the atmosphere in the cabin of Flight 4502 was brittle. Silence hung like mist over the business class section, broken only by the hiss of pressurization releasing and the distant clink of belts unfastening. Jessica Monroe stood in the forward galley, her posture composed, but her eyes betrayed her. She scanned the aisle for Lily and Amara Thompson, but the two weren't rushing. They sat calmly in their seats at 3C and 3D, waiting, letting every other passenger disembark first, just as instructed. Jessica knew something had changed. 10 minutes ago, she was informed by the co-pilot, Captain Chen was strangely absent from the intercom, that a representative from Delta's London operations would be meeting the flight at the gate. That was unusual. Then she was told a medical team was standing by, also unusual. Jessica had tried to regain control. She barked orders. She smiled at passengers she'd just insulted, but eyes followed her with suspicion. She could feel it. "Thank you for flying with us," she repeated like a chant, standing straight back as passengers filed past her, some offering tight nods, others pretending she wasn't there. And then Amara stood. She moved slowly, deliberately, like she was walking into a courtroom instead of an airport. Her hand was firm on the back of Lily's wheelchair as she rolled her daughter up the aisle. Jessica opened her mouth to say something. "Save it," Amara said, low enough that only Jessica could hear. At the aircraft door, a tall man in a charcoal suit was waiting, badge clipped to his lapel, radio in his hand. Behind him, 2 paramedics flanked the entry bridge. "Ms. Thompson," he said, stepping forward. "I'm Mark Elder, Heathrow Terminal Duty Officer. We've been briefed about your daughter's condition. Medical team's here to evaluate her. Would you prefer a private medical bay or ambulance transfer?" Amara nodded once. "Ambulance. She has a seizure risk." "And you?" He glanced back toward the galley. "Are you Flight Attendant Monroe?" Jessica gave a practiced smile. "Yes, everything was handled. There was some turbulence, a slight misunderstanding. I've documented—" "I'm going to stop you right there," Elder said, eyes narrowing. "There's a meeting scheduled for you at 9 a.m. with Delta UK operations. Do not leave the airport." Jessica's smile faltered. Lily said nothing as the paramedics wheeled her into the bright light of the jetway, but the corners of her mouth twitched into the barest curve. She knew what was coming. 20 minutes later, Lily lay on a stretcher inside a clean, quiet medical unit at Heathrow's Terminal 3. Amara stood nearby, her blazer wrinkled, her hair loose at the edges, but her eyes alert. Lily's vitals beeped at a steady, reassuring pace. "You doing okay, baby?" Amara asked gently. Lily nodded. "My legs are still tingly, but I'm good. Did Mom's call work?" Amara smiled, though it didn't reach her eyes. "Let's just say a lot of phones are ringing right now." There was a soft knock at the door. In stepped Caroline and Richard Schultz. Both were still in their travel clothes, Richard with a light jacket over his shoulders, Caroline still clutching a tablet. "We saw them take Monroe aside," Caroline said. "Did they? They detained her," Amara replied. "Temporarily, but we're not stopping there." She looked down at Lily, then back at the Schultzes. "I made the call," she said simply. Richard exhaled slowly. "To the board?" "No," Amara said. "To the audit committee." 6 years earlier, when Amara was promoted to Delta's VP of Finance, she'd quietly negotiated a clause in the emergency bylaws. It gave her a limited poison pill power, authority to freeze discretionary spending for maintenance and PR budgets if evidence suggested a risk to shareholder stability. The clause had never been used. Until now. Within 1 hour of Lily's seizure, Amara had activated it. $200 million in scheduled vendor disbursements were frozen pending internal review. She had sent the message to the entire senior board. This isn't a complaint. It's a threat to our financial future. And she had receipts. While Lily rested, Amara was escorted to a private conference room in Delta's Heathrow executive suite. On the screen, 8 faces appeared. Board members from Atlanta, executives in New York, the general counsel from San Francisco. The CFO, a man Amara had once trained herself, looked stunned. "Amara," he said cautiously, "you triggered a full discretionary freeze. That's unprecedented." "So is what happened to my daughter," she replied. "And the cover-up your people tried to initiate." "We've received conflicting reports," another executive said. Amara dropped the folder she'd been carrying onto the table. Dozens of pages spilled out. Witness testimonies, passenger video stills, transcripts from flight deck chatter. She slid one particular document across the table. Jessica Monroe's HR complaint file. Not her first offense, Amara said flatly. Just the first one someone decided to record. The room went still. I don't want money, Amara continued. I want accountability. I want Monroe suspended immediately. I want a full inquiry. And I want the CEO on record, on camera, apologizing to every passenger who saw what she did. The board chair leaned forward. And if we don't? Amara looked directly into the camera. Then this freeze becomes permanent. I'll walk into every media outlet in America with this file. I'll go public, and Delta's market trust will bleed dry faster than you can spell ADA. There was a pause. Then the legal counsel said, "We're convening an emergency vote." Back in the terminal, Lily sat upright again. Caroline brought her warm tea. Richard had secured their transfer to the hotel. Lily looked up at her mother as Amara stepped back in, her phone in her hand. "Did it work?" Lily asked. Amara gave her a quiet smile. "They've called a board meeting, CEO's flying in, and Monroe's been suspended pending investigation." Lily leaned back into her pillow, exhaling. "What now?" she asked. Amara looked at her daughter's fragile, intelligent face. The injustice, the near tragedy, the strength she had shown. "Now," Amara said gently, "we start making this permanent." Because power, in the right hands, wasn't about vengeance. It was about change. And they were just getting started. The elevator doors slid open with a hushed ding, revealing the plush interior of Delta's corporate suite at the Heathrow Executive Concourse. Amara Thompson stepped in, flanked by 2 uniformed security officers, not because she was under threat, but because the board had sent an assistant to fetch her immediately and discreetly. She had worn the same navy blue suit for 18 hours. Her heels clicked with controlled confidence across the quiet carpet as she walked past rooms full of anxious staffers. The tension was heavy enough to taste. Inside the boardroom, the air was 10 degrees cooler than the corridor. 9 people sat around a dark mahogany table. Several were familiar. Wallace Granger, the company's general counsel. Julie Herrnstein, VP of Public Affairs. Even CEO Neil Winslow himself, his silvered hair swept perfectly, jaw set like granite. They stood as she entered. "Ms. Thompson," Winslow said carefully, motioning toward the chair across from him. "Thank you for coming." She did not respond. She merely opened her leather portfolio and placed it on the table. A silence fell. Julie Herrnstein cleared her throat. "First, on behalf of the company, I want to express how sorry we are for what happened to your daughter." "You're not sorry yet," Amara interrupted calmly. "But you will be." Winslow leaned forward. "Amara, we need to be strategic about this. We understand your position and the board has agreed to a review of the incident, but triggering the poison pill clause wasn't a threat," she said. "It was a red flag. For 10 years, I've balanced your books, smoothed your numbers, justified your earnings to Wall Street. You wanted quiet power? Well, I learned from the best." She leaned in slightly. Jessica Monroe not only violated federal law, she endangered a disabled minor on international soil with dozens of witnesses. Then she lied about it. Then she walked off that plane as if she owned the damn airline. A beat passed. Then Winslow said, "She's suspended." "Not good enough," Amara replied. "Then what do you want?" Granger asked. She stood. "I want her fired. I want a formal apology issued through every official Delta channel. I want an independent audit of every ADA-related passenger complaint in the last 5 years. And I want a task force formed, reporting directly to me, to reform every accessibility protocol in this company from the ground up." Herrnstein looked stunned. "That's not a disciplinary request. That's a reorg." "No," Amara said coolly. "It's a reckoning." Winslow drummed his fingers against the armrest. "And if we refuse?" "I resign, publicly, with my daughter beside me. I give every video, every document, every statement to the press." She paused. And you lose $2.3 billion in stock value before the week is out. Silence. Finally, Winslow raised his hand and turned to the screen where two remote directors waited. Give us 10 minutes. Lily waited on the balcony of their hotel room, overlooking the runway at Heathrow's Terminal 5. Planes lined up like metal birds beneath a gray sky. She had her laptop open, but her fingers had stopped typing. The cursor blinked on the screen where her blog post draft still sat half-written. I don't want to be famous for this, she said quietly. Richard Schultz sat beside her with a warm cup of tea. You're not famous, he said. You're important. There's a difference. She turned to him. Is it true you used to be CFO of American Airlines? Guilty, he said with a chuckle. So you know what they're doing, don't you? The delays, the calls, the soft threats. He nodded. They're circling the wagons, but they're too late. They underestimated your mother. She smiled a little. Everyone does. He looked at her gently. How are you feeling? My head hurts, but I'm okay. I meant emotionally. She shrugged. Tired, angry, confused. That's called being a truth teller, he said. The first ones through the wall always get bloody. She looked down at her hands. I just wanted to go to space camp. And you will, he said. But first, we land this fight. Back at the boardroom, Amara received a short nod from CEO Winslow. We agree to your terms. Good, she said, standing. Then let me introduce you to the person who'll help implement them. She stepped aside, revealing the doorway. Into the room walked James Whitfield. Every head turned. The former senior VP of operations, forcibly retired in a cost-cutting sweep 2 years prior. The man who had mentored most of the executives present. The man who had witnessed Jessica Monroe's behavior on that plane. He walked in slowly, calmly, and extended a hand to Winslow. Gentlemen, he said, let's begin. Amara watched their faces as they recognized what had just happened. This wasn't just a PR incident anymore. It was a leadership shift. By the next morning, Delta's press release had gone live. For immediate release, Delta Airlines deeply regrets the incident involving flight attendant Jessica Monroe and passenger Lily Thompson. We are taking immediate steps to address the situation, including policy reforms, enhanced ADA training, and a new oversight committee led by Amara Thompson, VP of Finance. We are committed to accessibility, equity, and accountability. Jessica Monroe's employment had been terminated, but that wasn't the end. Because now the media came calling. CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times, even the BBC. They wanted interviews, and Amara said yes. On camera, she said, "You don't get to humiliate a child and walk away with a severance package. Not anymore. We didn't go public because we wanted attention. We went public because silence costs lives. This isn't just about us. It's about every passenger who's ever been made to feel small." And Lily? She posted a blog. Just a few paragraphs. Quiet, honest, simple. My name is Lily Thompson. I'm 12. I have a disability, but it doesn't mean I'm weak. I'm smart. I love space, and I deserve to be safe on an airplane. Her blog went viral, and the public roared back. Within 48 hours, a petition to create a federal airline ADA watchdog had gained 700,000 signatures. By the end of the week, Congresswoman Lorraine Dorsey had introduced a bill named after Lily, the Lily Thompson Passenger Dignity Act. The story wasn't done. It had just launched into orbit. Lily Thompson was trending. She didn't even have a Twitter account. At 7:41 a.m., CNN posted a short clip of the now viral moment. Lily, strapped into her aisle wheelchair, crying softly as flight attendants walked past her. Underneath it, a caption read, "This 12-year-old was humiliated on Delta Airlines. Her mother is fighting back with the law." By 8:13 a.m., hatched Lily. Deserves better was the #1 trend on Twitter in the United States. By 9 o'clock, it had gone global. Across London, Amara sat at the foot of her daughter's hotel bed, laptop open, fingers scrolling through news alerts and media mentions. The press conference she'd given late the night before had sparked wildfire. "Zara," Amara said, using Lily's childhood nickname, "you need to see this." Lily rubbed her eyes, pulling the covers around her chest. She'd barely slept. "Is it more bad news?" "No, baby. It's people." On the screen were hundreds of clips, reactions, messages. One was from an Army veteran in Texas who had posted a video saying, "My niece is in a chair too. I'm done flying Delta till they fix this." Another from a woman in Philadelphia. "I don't even have kids, and this story broke me. What they did to Lily was cruel." Even celebrities joined in. Actress Viola Bryant tweeted, "Disabled, black, brilliant. Lily is everything the world should protect, not shame." That tweet alone had 1.2 million likes by noon. And then came the post from NASA. "We stand with Lily Thompson. Talent like hers belongs in the stars, not sidelined by ignorance. See you at Johnson Space Center, Lily." Lily blinked. Amara turned toward her. "Sweetheart," she said softly, "I think the world's waking up." Meanwhile, in a corner office in Atlanta, Delta's PR director Carlin Guillen dropped her third espresso. "What do you mean she's doing interviews?" she barked into the phone. "Who authorized this?" Across the line, Julie Hernstein, VP of Public Affairs, sounded like she was clutching pearls. "She didn't need authorization. She's not just an employee. She's the one holding the $200 million discretionary freeze over our heads." "God help us," Carla whispered. It was too late for strategy. The video had broken through every demographic firewall. TikTok teens were lip-syncing Jessica Monroe's infamous "Some people think the world should bend" line. Gen X moms were quoting Amara's press conference on Facebook. Aviation policy forums were dissecting Delta's ADA procedures with military precision. And somewhere in the middle of all of it, a girl in a wheelchair had become the face of resistance. At 10:32 a.m., in a surprisingly quiet moment, Amara received a call. "Thompson," she said, her voice steady. "This is Senator Lorraine Dorsey's office," the voice on the other end replied. "The senator saw your daughter's story. She'd like to invite both of you to testify at a Senate subcommittee hearing on air passenger rights next week." Amara froze. We're not public speakers." "You're more than that," the aide replied. "You're a family that stood up when it was easier to stay silent. That's exactly who needs to be at the table." Amara swallowed. "Text me the details," she said. By the afternoon, Delta had no choice but to escalate its response. CEO Neil Winslow stepped into a live-streamed press briefing with the same stiffness he wore in board meetings. He looked directly into the camera and said, "We failed, Lily Thompson. We failed the standard of care we owe every passenger, and we failed to act when we should have. As CEO, I take full responsibility. Effective immediately, Delta will implement the Thompson Initiative, new accessibility protocols developed under the oversight of Amara Thompson, our new EVP of Passenger Equity and Compliance. This isn't about PR. This is about rebuilding trust." The crowd of reporters went silent. Then came a flurry of questions, but none mattered as much as the image that went viral next. Lily, seated in her chair, watching the live stream on her tablet. The moment Winslow said her name, her eyebrows lifted slightly. Then she turned and looked at her mom. "Did you make him say that?" she asked. Amara smiled. "No, baby, you did." By evening, their hotel room had become an impromptu command center. Amara's inbox was overflowing. Advocacy groups, journalists, government liaisons, even internal messages from Delta employees thanking her. But the call that changed everything came from the last place she expected. "Amara Thompson?" the voice asked. British, crisp. "Yes? My name is Edward Barnes. I'm calling on behalf of the Royal Institute of Aerospace Engineers. We were made aware of your daughter's science project through NASA's press team." Amara straightened. "Yes? I'm calling to invite Lily to present her flight stabilization model at our upcoming international summit in Geneva. She would be our youngest ever invited guest." A pause. "There's one condition." Amara tensed. What is it? We want her to present it under her full name, not Lily Thompson. I'm sorry, I don't understand. We'd like her listed as Dr. Lillian A. Thompson. Amara blinked. She's 12. We've reviewed her data. She's operating at postdoctoral levels. She deserves to be addressed accordingly. When she ended the call, she turned to Lily, who had just finished editing a paragraph of her new blog entry. Baby, Amara said, her voice catching. How would you feel about Geneva? Lily grinned. As long as it's a window seat. That night, as they finally turned off the news and tried to settle into silence, Amara lay awake. She scrolled back through a saved clip of Winslow's apology, of Lily's reaction, of the flood of comments from people who had never cared about ADA issues before but now couldn't stop talking about them. She looked over at her daughter. Lily was asleep, her hand loosely curled under her chin, her breathing even. Amara whispered into the darkness, "You are not an exception. You are the new rule." And the world, finally, was beginning to agree. The headlines were glowing, the comments sections less so. At first, Lily only saw the good ones, the kind messages, the support from families with disabled children, the congratulations from aerospace enthusiasts and student engineers. But the internet is never just kind. By the time they arrived back in Chicago, the storm had already begun to shift. It started with a blurry video clip of Jessica Monroe leaving her lawyer's office, flanked by a PR handler and holding a tissue she didn't use. In the video, she sniffled, then turned to the camera and said quietly, "This wasn't about race or disability. I followed protocol, but I was painted as a monster, all because I didn't smile enough or bow down." Within hours, the clip was all over conservative media outlets. Talk show hosts ran segments accusing Lily and Amara of staging a woke hoax. The hashtags changed. Lily Deserves Better began trending alongside #Justice for Jessica and #Race Hoax Exposed. And then the hate mail started. Amara opened her inbox one morning to a barrage of emails. Maybe if you spent less time looking for handouts and more time raising your child? That kid's not even disabled. She walked this whole thing into a payday. Enjoy your 15 minutes, faker. The next flight won't land so soft. She closed the laptop slowly, then turned to Lily, who was brushing her hair in silence. "I need you to promise me something," Amara said gently. Lily turned. "Don't read the comments, any of them, good or bad." Lily nodded. "Okay." She didn't mean it. Back at the hospital, Amara's job, technically reinstated, was now hanging by a thread of bureaucratic red tape. Her supervisor, Dr. Halvers, had changed his tone since the settlement. Where once he'd been congratulatory, now he was clinical. "You understand, of course, that while we've honored your reinstatement, there's a new process in place. Administrative probation pending departmental review. Your case triggered political interest. We need to be careful." "Careful of what?" Amara asked. "Of headlines." They gave her a supply closet as her office. Her duties were reduced. She was not assigned to pediatric rotation, despite having led that department for 3 years. And when she passed in the hallway, staff offered smiles that didn't reach their eyes. Amara went home that night and cried in the shower, alone, where Lily wouldn't hear. Meanwhile, at school, Lily was enduring a different kind of hostility. Before the trip, she'd been the science girl, the smart kid, the wheelchair whiz with cool facts about space. Now, she was the girl from the news. "Hey Lily," one boy whispered as she passed. "Heard you sued your way into NASA." Another snickered. "Bet your mom gave you acting lessons for that video." The worst was during lunch. 3 girls at a nearby table, girls she used to study with, burst into laughter when a TikTok played on someone's phone. It was an edit of the plane video, with auto-tuned crying, remixed to a rap beat. Caption: "When you fake a seizure and still get a scholarship." Emma, her friend from space camp, called during recess. "I saw the clip," she said. "My mom's already reporting it. You want me to fly out there?" Lily didn't speak. "You don't have to be brave all the time," Emma added. Lily whispered, I'm tired of being the story. 1 week later, a lawsuit was filed. Jessica Monroe versus Delta Airlines, Amara Thompson and Lillian Thompson, claiming defamation, emotional distress, career sabotage, damages sought, $5 million. Typical slap suit, Elijah Washington said, reviewing the paperwork in his office. Strategic lawsuit against public participation. They want to intimidate you into silence. Amara leaned back in her chair, arms crossed. She's suing the child she endangered. She's not. The lawyers are. The system is. Jessica's just the face. So what do? We fight, Elijah said. But understand, they're not trying to win in court. They're trying to drain your energy, your finances, your spirit. Amara exhaled. We've been drained for months. Elijah handed her a manila folder. Not completely. Open that. Inside were 10 affidavits, signed, sworn, from former Delta employees, all documenting Jessica Monroe's behavior. She was protected, Elijah said, until now. The day after the lawsuit dropped, Amara received a phone call. Private number, no caller ID. She almost ignored it, but answered on the 5th ring. Ms. Thompson, a man said, calm, measured. You're making a lot of powerful people nervous. Who is this? You don't need my name. You need to understand something. Amara didn't respond. There's still time to walk away, the voice continued. Take the money, sign the NDA, get your life back. Amara laughed. You think we still have a life? If you don't stop, the man said coldly, it won't just be about your daughter. The IRS, your hospital, your landlord. These are small reminders. He hung up. Amara sat in silence, her phone still buzzing from unknown numbers. That night, Lily found her mother at the kitchen table, staring at a blank legal pad. Are we okay? She asked. Amara turned, forced a smile. Of course. Really? Lily sat. Because I don't want to stop, even if it gets worse. You shouldn't have to be brave. You told me once, Lily said softly, that systems are built by people, and that people can change them. Amara felt tears welling. Then let's keep changing them. The next day, they filed their countersuit. Against Delta, against Jessica Monroe, against the private contractor who had handled the aisle chair. And, through subpoena, they requested all internal communications between Jessica Monroe and Delta's executive team in the 72 hours following the incident. That same afternoon, the Schultzes flew into Chicago. Emma ran to hug Lily at the hotel lobby. We're not letting them win, Caroline said, hugging Amara. You're not alone. Richard shook Elijah's hand. Let's burn this thing down. Buy the book. As they regrouped over dinner, a CNN producer texted Amara. Exclusive interview offer? Prime time? Live. Amara turned to Lily. Want to speak your truth again? Lily nodded, but this time, her voice didn't shake. The Senate Subcommittee on Transportation, Housing, and Urban Development didn't usually draw media attention. Most of the time, their hearings were dry affairs, long monologues about infrastructure budgets and regional zoning regulations. But not this time. By the morning, Lily Thompson was set to testify. The marble steps of the Capitol were swarming with cameras. News vans lined the curbs. Protesters in wheelchairs held signs reading, "Dignity can't wait," and "ADA is law, not suggestion." Inside, the Hart Senate Office Building's largest hearing room had to be cleared twice for overflow. Not since the hearings on aviation security after 9/11 had a transportation-related witness drawn this much attention. At the center of it all sat a 12-year-old girl in a red wheelchair, dressed in a navy blazer, her notes neatly stacked on the table in front of her. And the world was watching. 2 hours earlier, Amara had laced Lily's shoes in silence. It was ceremonial more than practical. Lily wouldn't be walking today. How are you feeling? Amara asked, trying to keep her voice even. Like I'm about to vomit in front of C-SPAN, Lily whispered. Amara knelt down in front of her. Listen to me, Zara. You don't owe them anything. You just tell your story. That's more than enough. Lily looked up. What if they don't believe me? Then we speak anyway, because the truth doesn't need permission to exist. Lily nodded. Let's go make Congress uncomfortable. They entered through the staff entrance, accompanied by Elijah Washington, Caroline and Richard Schultz, and 2 Capitol Hill aides. The marble halls echoed with the clack of hard shoes and camera shutters. Lily caught sight of her name on a placard beside a microphone. Ms. Lillian A. Thompson, witness. It felt surreal. Amara adjusted her collar, brushing a stray curl behind her daughter's ear. You're not just representing yourself, she whispered. I know, Lily said. You're representing every kid who ever got told they were too much trouble to help. Lily didn't nod. She didn't need to. The hearing opened with formalities. Senator Lorraine Dorsey, chairwoman of the subcommittee, gave an opening statement that was equal parts policy and passion. Americans with disabilities are not suggestions. They are citizens, they are students, they are scientists, and in one case, our witness today, they are visionaries. Then came the testimonies. Delta's VP of Legal Affairs spoke first. Her words were smooth. Her suit was sharper than her apologies. We regret the distress caused to Ms. Thompson and her family. The airline has taken corrective steps. Lily noticed she never said the word sorry. Another witness, an ADA compliance officer from a smaller airline, testified about loopholes in enforcement. Then it was Lily's turn. She rolled up to the microphone. The room quieted. C-SPAN went live. Good morning, Lily said, her voice steady. My name is Lillian A. Thompson. I'm 12 years old. I have spinal muscular atrophy type 2. I use a wheelchair. I'm also an award-winning student in aerospace engineering, and last month I was denied dignity on a Delta flight. She paused. Inhale, exhale. A flight attendant ignored my needs, mocked my disability, then damaged my medical equipment and nearly caused a seizure. When my mom tried to protect me, we were treated like a threat instead of a family. Senator Dorsey leaned forward, visibly moved. I'm not here to shame anyone, Lily continued. I'm here because I want this to stop happening, not just to me, but to anyone who's different. She lifted a copy of her school science project. This is a model I designed for emergency evacuation systems in space habitats. I was told it might help astronauts one day, but on Earth, in a regular plane, I wasn't even allowed to use the bathroom. Gasps from the audience. A few in the gallery wiped tears. So I ask you today, if we can launch rockets with accessible AI, why can't we train flight crews to treat passengers like people? The room broke into applause until the gavel brought silence. Senator Dorsey spoke. Ms. Thompson, Congress thanks you, and this chair recommends immediate review of Title II and III enforcement mechanisms. The ADA doesn't expire at 30,000 feet. And with that, the policy wheels began to turn. After the hearing, the Thompsons were swarmed. Reporters, lawmakers, advocates. Everyone wanted a piece of the girl who'd faced down an airline and lived to testify about it. Caroline Schultz handled the press. Elijah fielded legal questions. Amara stood behind Lily, one hand on her shoulder, steady as a tower. But not everyone was supportive. Outside, a protester held a sign that read, "She lied for likes." Lily saw it. She didn't flinch. Next question, she told the reporters. That evening, the White House released a statement. The President and First Lady commend Ms. Thompson's courage. Her voice highlights the urgent need to revisit and reinforce ADA protections in all public spaces. The FAA followed with a statement of their own, a commitment to a top-down audit of ADA compliance in all commercial aviation sectors. And then, late at night, a call came. Amara, Elijah said over speakerphone, you're not going to believe this. They were being offered a settlement, again, this time from a coalition of airline executives, and the number, 10 million. But there's more, Elijah added. They want to attach the settlement to the passage of what they're calling the Thompson Passenger Dignity Act, a new federal standard for accessibility and anti-discrimination. Amara's breath caught. They want to pay us and pass the law? No, Elijah said. They want you to endorse it, publicly, as a partner, not as a victim. There was a long pause. Then Lily spoke up. I'll do it, she said, but only if I get to write the first paragraph. Amara laughed and cried. At the same time, the deal was on the table. $10 million, a federally backed law named after Lily. Full control over the rollout, the language, the messaging. In exchange, no more lawsuits, no more public accusations, no more exposing the cracks beneath the airline industry's polished exterior. It's a generous offer, Elijah said carefully, looking over the contract. Historic, even. Amara stared at the document. The money could change everything. A home, college, financial security for generations. And yet, something didn't feel right. That evening, back in their hotel suite in D.C., Amara sat across from Lily. The table between them held the contract, a folder of legal notes, and a crumpled napkin with a list of pros and cons. Lily spun her pen. They want to make this go away, she said quietly. They also want to make it better, Amara said. Better for who? Amara exhaled. They say if we settle now, they'll back the Thompson Passenger Dignity Act. They'll fund it, implement it, train the industry on it. But they'll never admit what they did. No, Amara said. They won't. Lily looked at the napkin list. Under cons, no apology, no trial, no full justice. She tapped her fingers. I didn't come this far for a nameplate. Amara nodded slowly. The next morning, they declined the settlement, politely, formally, publicly. A reporter from NPR broke the story. Thompson family turns down $10 million settlement, demands full accountability. This isn't about money, says Amara Thompson. It's about truth. Social media exploded again. Stand with Lily trended for the second time in a month. But with the attention came consequences. Within 48 hours of declining the offer, a new campaign launched. An anonymous blog surfaced, truthaboutthompson.com. It posted scanned court documents from Amara's past bankruptcy. It published blurry photos of Lily at space camp, taken without consent, and accused them of performative activism. Elijah filed injunctions. The site was eventually taken down, but the damage spread like wildfire. See what happens when you don't play ball? He muttered. Caroline Schultz was livid. This is targeted harassment, she said. And it's coming from inside the house. Richard confirmed it. An internal leak from one of the airline's boardrooms. Someone with access to PR slush funds. Someone scared. They know what's coming if this goes to trial, he said. At school, Lily was pulled out of class by the principal. We've received calls from concerned parents, he said. They're worried about the media attention, about distractions. I'm not a distraction, Lily said. You're a symbol, the principal replied. Symbols make people nervous. By the end of the day, Amara had withdrawn her daughter from school. They would finish the semester online. Lily didn't cry. She just asked to visit the library one last time before they left. Meanwhile, Jessica Monroe was suddenly everywhere. Primetime interviews, tearful features, articles titled "The Other Side of the Story." In one segment, she clutched a rosary and said, I've devoted my life to serving passengers, but I was judged unfairly. I was canceled, all for trying to keep order on my flight. The airline issued no comment, but behind the scenes, a different narrative was emerging. Elijah obtained a cache of internal communications, thanks to a junior analyst turned whistleblower. The emails were damning. They showed senior executives plotting to suppress witness testimony. One message read, delay her deposition, push the settlement, make this end quietly. Another, Jessica may be toxic PR, but she's the firewall. If she goes, we go. Washington's hands shook as he read them. "This isn't a lawsuit," he said. "It's a cover-up with a flight attendant as bait." Amara stared at the screen. They'd sacrifice a dozen Jessicas to avoid real change. "Exactly," Elijah said. "Which is why we can't settle." That weekend, the family flew home to Chicago, first class. The airline that had once humiliated Lily now issued her boarding pass with a handwritten note. "Ms. Thompson, our sincere hope for a safe and dignified journey. Captain J. Ramirez." Lily smiled, but the smile faded as she noticed one passenger taking photos from across the aisle. "Mom," she whispered. Amara looked up. Another blogger, another opportunist. They spent the entire flight in silence. Back at home, their temporary rental felt colder than usual. Lily's tablet buzzed with alerts, news stories, hate mail, praise, more hate. She logged out of every account. Amara tucked her into bed that night. "I'm sorry," she said softly. "For what?" "For dragging you into this war." Lily shook her head. "You didn't drag me. I walked." And then she whispered, "I just wish walking didn't cost so much." The following week, the federal hearing date was announced. The Department of Transportation, under mounting pressure, launched a formal investigation into airline ADA violations. The Justice Department subpoenaed Delta Airlines for all communications relating to the Thompson case, and a new headline appeared on every major outlet. "Civil rights lawsuit against Delta clears key hurdle. Thompson case to go to federal trial." Amara dropped her phone. They weren't just talking anymore. They were going to court, and this time, the world would watch. The federal courtroom was colder than Lily expected, not in temperature, but in tone. There were no teary journalists, no grandstanding senators, just lawyers, stenographers, and silence thick enough to make your ears ring. Amara adjusted Lily's blazer while Elijah prepared her for testimony. "You don't need to win the room," he said. "You just need to stay honest. Truth travels on its own legs." Lily nodded, but her palms were sweating. She'd testified in Congress, but that had been full of the people who wanted to hear her. This was a courtroom designed to pick her apart. And at the opposite table sat Jessica Monroe. Perfect bun, tight smile. Her lawyers looked like sharks dressed in silk. Amara took the stand first. She recounted everything: the seat reassignment, the refusal of the aisle chair, the scalding coffee, the seizure, the whispered threats. The opposing counsel was precise. "Ms. Thompson, you were under considerable stress at the time. Isn't it possible you misinterpreted the events as discriminatory?" Amara held her gaze steady. "I'm a nurse. I know what a seizure looks like. I know what medical neglect is. I know what contempt sounds like, even when it's said with a smile." The jury was listening. Then it was Lily's turn. She rolled herself to the front. No script, no cue cards, just memory and nerve. "I was in the aisle because that's where they left me." "Who left you, Ms. Thompson?" "The flight attendant, Jessica Monroe." "Are you saying she intentionally abandoned you during turbulence?" Lily met his eyes. "I'm saying she saw me. She walked past me. She made a choice." The opposing attorney pivoted quickly. "You've received national attention, speaking engagements, awards. You've been called a hero. Doesn't that attention benefit you?" Lily paused. Being treated like a person shouldn't require a spotlight. The courtroom hushed. "Would you rather not have spoken out?" Lily exhaled. "I'd rather have used the bathroom." Even the judge smiled. The defense brought out witness after witness. A flight instructor who said Jessica was strict but by the book. A former supervisor who claimed there was no documented history of bias. Elijah watched patiently. He'd been waiting for the final witness, Sandra Pierce, the whistleblower. Her entrance was understated. Gray cardigan, no makeup, but her voice was steel. Jessica Monroe routinely mocked passengers behind closed doors, particularly those with disabilities. "Did you report this behavior?" "Twice. Nothing happened. Then I was reassigned." "Why are you speaking now?" Because I saw that girl cry, and I saw an industry try to make her apologize for it. The jury was silent. The next day, the cross-examination of Jessica Monroe began. She was polished, poised. "I was following procedure," she said repeatedly. The aisle chair was unavailable. The turbulence was unexpected. Elijah stood up. "Ms. Monroe, are you familiar with this email?" He handed it to her. The court projector showed a message time-stamped 2 hours after the incident, from Jessica to her manager. "Handled the situation. Mom was mouthy. Girl was fake crying. Should blow over once they land." Jessica's face went pale. "Do you deny writing this?" She hesitated. "I was frustrated. It was taken out of context." Elijah nodded. "One more question. Why did you request reassignment to the return flight, knowing the Thompsons would be on board?" Jessica looked stunned. "I didn't. That's not..." He clicked the remote. A second email appeared. "I want to be on that flight. People need to learn there are consequences for playing the victim card." Gasps in the gallery. The judge banged the gavel. "Order!" Jessica buried her face in her hands. When the court adjourned for the day, reporters waited outside. Amara and Lily didn't speak. They just held hands and walked past the flashing cameras. At the hotel, Emma had left a note. "You were brave today. I want to be like you when I grow up, even though we're the same age, E." Lily smiled, then turned on the news. The anchor's voice was calm. "Today in federal court, damning evidence emerged suggesting Delta executives knowingly suppressed reports of discrimination. Sources close to the case say the Thompson lawsuit may now prompt a Department of Justice investigation into systemic bias in the airline industry." Amara turned off the screen. She looked at her daughter. "Whatever happens next, we already won." Lily leaned her head on her mom's shoulder. "Let's make it count." If you were on that jury, what moment would stay with you most? Lily's words, the emails, or the silence that followed? Comment below and share your thoughts. If you believe stories like this deserve to be heard, hit like and subscribe for the next chapter. The next morning, everything was quiet. No subpoenas, no cameras, no statements, no press. Just the eerie calm of a storm that had realized it might not win. Lily and Amara sat in the hotel room, eating dry toast and watching raindrops trickle down the window. It was the first time in months they hadn't woken up to an inbox full of outrage or praise. It felt wrong, like the silence was holding its breath, but the truth was, the pressure wasn't gone. It had just gone underground. Elijah Washington arrived with dark circles under his eyes and a USB drive in his hand. "I need you to see something," he said. He plugged it into the hotel TV. A folder opened. Inside, dozens of internal airline memos, many time-stamped within 24 hours of Lily's court testimony. "These were leaked to me late last night," Elijah explained, "from someone in their compliance department. They didn't want credit. They just wanted this out." Amara scanned the subject lines. "ADA Compliance Strategy Adjustment. Risk Mitigation. Messaging Protocol for Thompson Trial Backlash. Emergency PR Draft. CEO Resignation Contingency Plan." One file stood out. Internal Risk Memo. Vulnerabilities and Strategic Exposures. Amara clicked. Her face went white. The memo outlined the airline's internal assessment of litigation exposure if the trial continued. Estimated class action potential, 12,000 plus disabled passengers. Estimated financial liability, 1.4B to 2.1 E. PR risk. Unrecoverable unless decisive change is publicly executed. Elijah looked at Amara. "This is why they're panicking." Lily leaned in. "They're scared of people like me. People who talk." "Exactly. And scared people do stupid things," Amara added. That afternoon, a surprise development shook the court docket. Jessica Monroe's legal team filed a sealed motion for partial immunity in exchange for cooperation. It was a signal. She was flipping. The judge ordered an emergency hearing. Amara and Lily sat in the gallery as Jessica, pale and visibly shaking, took the stand. Her voice cracked halfway through her statement. "I was told to follow protocol," she began. "But the protocol was never about safety. It was about control. I was rewarded for shutting people down, especially the ones who asked too many questions." She described how managers routinely told staff to minimize interactions with difficult cases, a term internally used for disabled passengers who asserted their rights. And she confirmed the airline's intentional use of reassignments, delayed accommodations, and passive-aggressive behaviors to nudge such passengers into submission or silence. "I didn't realize what I was part of until I saw that little girl's face," she said, tears running down her cheeks. The courtroom held its breath. Elijah whispered to Amara, "This is the crack we've been waiting for." Overnight, the story turned, not just from pity to power, but from isolated injustice to systemic revelation. Headlines flooded the news cycle. Flight attendant turns witness in civil rights case. Disability discrimination in aviation now under DOJ review. Thompson v. Delta may trigger industry-wide shakeup. By morning, Amara's phone rang non-stop. Lawyers, lawmakers, former passengers, journalists, civil rights groups. Everyone wanted to talk, but the most important call came from the office of Dr. Eliza Chow, the newly installed CEO of Delta Airlines. Amara answered cautiously. "Ms. Thompson," the voice on the other end said calmly, "Dr. Chow would like to meet, privately, today." Amara hesitated. Why? She believes it's time for a different kind of conversation. The meeting was held in a quiet room at the Thurgood Marshall Federal Building. No cameras, no press, just Amara, Lily, Elijah, and Dr. Chow. The CEO wore a gray pantsuit, no jewelry, and a face lined with exhaustion. "I won't waste your time," she said. "I reviewed the files, I've listened to the tapes, and I've met with Jessica Monroe." She looked at Lily. "You changed the course of this company." Lily said nothing. Dr. Chow continued, "I want to offer something, not in exchange for silence, but as recognition of harm. A full public apology. An industry summit on accessible travel, co-led by you, and an internal restructuring to dismantle the systems that failed you." Amara spoke. "And what about accountability? Executives will resign. Departments will be reformed. Policy will change, but only if you're willing to help lead that change." Lily leaned forward. "So, you want me to fix the airline that broke me?" Dr. Chow nodded. "I want you to help us build one that won't break anyone else." The room fell quiet. Lily looked at her mom, then at Elijah, and then back at Dr. Chow. "I'll do it, but on one condition." Dr. Chow raised an eyebrow. "You don't just write me a check. You write me into the future." That evening, Amara sat on the edge of the hotel bed, watching Lily draft her speech for the industry summit. It was messy, emotional, hopeful, and entirely her own. "You sure about this?" Amara asked. "No," Lily admitted. "But I'm sure I don't want someone else telling my story." Amara nodded. The walls were cracking, and through those cracks, something better was beginning to grow. 3 months later, Lily Thompson stood at the front of a packed auditorium inside the National Museum of African American History and Culture. Over 1,000 people filled the room. Airline executives, disability rights advocates, engineers, policymakers, and students, many in wheelchairs or with assistive devices. Thousands more watched live online. It was the first ever National Summit on Accessible Air Travel, co-hosted by the Department of Transportation and Delta Airlines. And Lily wasn't just a guest. She was the keynote speaker. 387 days ago, Lily began, I sat in the middle of an airplane aisle, strapped to my wheelchair, while a grown woman with power mocked me for needing help. She paused. I didn't ask to be here. I didn't want to go viral. I just wanted to get to space camp. A ripple of quiet laughter softened the tension. But today, I'm glad I didn't stay quiet, because silence protects no one. She looked across the room, at Elijah, at Amara, at Dr. Chow, and at Caroline and Richard Schultz, seated front row center. She continued, "Disability should never mean invisibility, and dignity is not a special request, it's a basic requirement." The room burst into applause. After the speech, Amara met Lily backstage. "You were incredible," she said, wrapping her daughter in a hug. "I still feel like I'm pretending," Lily admitted. "Like someone else should be up there." "You're not pretending," Amara said. "You're becoming." Behind them, Dr. Eliza Chow approached with a smile. "You're going to want to see this," she said, handing them a press release. It read, "Effective immediately, Delta Airlines will implement a new internal system called Access Track, designed in consultation with disability experts and passengers like Lily Thompson. This system will ensure real-time monitoring of accessibility requests, staff accountability, and passenger dignity." But the most surprising line was at the bottom. "Access Track Advisory Board will be chaired by Lily Thompson." Lily looked up. "You want me to lead it?" "We need someone who doesn't speak corporate," Dr. Chow said. "We need someone who speaks truth." The rest of the summit was filled with policy sessions and announcements. The FAA unveiled new regulations mandating aisle chairs on all commercial aircraft with 20-plus seats, real-time accommodation tracking on all flights, independent oversight panels for discrimination complaints. Elijah Washington gave a fiery panel speech on accountability. "This isn't charity," he said. "It's compliance. The ADA isn't a suggestion, it's federal law." And Amara joined a roundtable on family advocacy, drawing a standing ovation with her closing words. "I was a nurse long before I was a plaintiff, and I'll still be one long after the headlines fade. But I will never stop being Lily's mother, and I will never stop fighting for the dignity she and every child deserves." That evening, a private reception was held on the museum's rooftop. The sun dipped behind the Washington Monument as guests mingled over jazz and hors d'oeuvres. James Whitfield raised his glass in a quiet toast to Amara. "You never blinked," he said. "Oh, I blinked," Amara replied with a laugh. "I just didn't step back." Nearby, Sandra Pierce stood with a group of airline employees. She was now head of ethics and accountability training for one of the largest U.S. carriers. "People think whistleblowers are bitter," she said. "But we're just people who saw too much and stayed human anyway." Later that night, as the crowd thinned and the musicians packed up, Lily and Emma sat on the museum steps, looking out over the National Mall. "I'm nervous," Lily confessed. "Why?" Emma asked. "Because it feels like if I screw this up, the whole movement gets set back." Emma shook her head. "You didn't start a movement to be perfect. You started it to be honest. People can tell the difference." Lily smiled. She took off her summit badge and turned it over. On the back, she'd written in Sharpie, "The truth doesn't ask permission." The next morning, news of the summit spread across the country. Outlets that had once questioned Lily's motives now hailed her leadership. One headline read, "Thompson Girl No More. Young Advocate Redefines Air Travel for Millions." And for the first time since it all began, Lily felt the shift, from subject of pity to agent of change. At breakfast, Amara showed her a message that had arrived overnight. "Dear Miss Thompson, my name is Jordan and I'm 10. I have muscular dystrophy. I used to be scared to fly, but my mom showed me your story. I want to go to space camp now too. Thank you." Lily stared at the message for a long time, then whispered, "We need more seats in the sky." Amara smiled. "We'll build them together." It had been 6 weeks since the summit, and Lily Thompson still couldn't walk through an airport without being recognized. Sometimes it was a whisper from behind. "That's her, the girl from the video." Other times it was more direct. "Ms. Thompson, can I take a photo for my daughter? She uses a wheelchair too." Lily smiled, signed things, hugged strangers. She was 12 now, old enough to know that being famous for surviving injustice didn't mean the world was fixed. Not even close. Amara noticed the shift first. Lily was quieter, more withdrawn at home. When she asked why, Lily just said, "I'm tired. Tired of questions, of praise, of pressure, tired of being brave." Amara did what mothers do, kept dinner warm, reminded her of her math homework, and made sure there was always space on the couch to just be a kid. But she also reached out to Elijah. "We need to help her build something that's hers," she said, "not just respond to what the world throws at her." He agreed, and he had an idea. A month later, Lily walked into a classroom inside the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. 20 other kids waited with wide eyes and notebooks open. All had one thing in common. They used mobility devices. A new program, the Thompson Initiative, was piloting a curriculum that combined aerospace engineering with accessibility innovation. Lily was both student and mentor. Her first project? Working with a team of 3 other students to design an emergency reboarding system that worked for all body types, abilities, and cabin configurations. It was the first time in over a year she felt joy from science instead of scrutiny. At night, back in the dorm, she and her teammates sat cross-legged around a laptop, sketching design ideas. "Do you think we'll get to test it in real conditions?" one of the girls asked. Lily grinned. "My mom says if you can get it to work in Houston, we'll find someone crazy enough to test it at 30,000 feet. They laughed. The kind of laugh kids have when the world hasn't broken their joy yet. Amara stood quietly outside the dorm window, hearing that sound, and finally exhaled. Meanwhile, Elijah was busy, working with lawmakers, drafting the Accessible Skies Act, a new bipartisan bill designed to codify the changes Delta had implemented industry-wide. It would require aisle chairs on all domestic and international flights, real-time accessible seating confirmation, ADA compliance officers on staff at every major airline. He pushed it hard, and slowly, it gained momentum. Not because of corporate goodwill, but because voters saw Lily, and politicians knew they couldn't be seen fighting her. But there were whispers again. Vanessa Monroe had resurfaced. A podcast interview, a book deal rumored. "People don't want facts," she said in a leaked clip. "They want a villain. I became one." Amara watched it once, then turned it off. "What did she say?" Lily asked. "Nothing new. Will people believe her? Some will, most won't. But we're not doing this to change her. We're doing it to protect others." Lily nodded. She didn't cry. She didn't blink. She just opened her laptop and kept designing. On the final day of the program, Lily presented her team's project to a room full of engineers, NASA folks, Boeing folks, a few from Delta. They used simulations and data, mock-ups and 3D models. Their system worked. Not perfectly, but better than anything on the market. After the applause, one of the engineers asked, "What made you choose this particular design?" Lily replied, "Because it doesn't treat disability like an afterthought. It builds from it, not around it." The room stood. Later that evening, she and Amara sat by the runway outside the center. Jets took off into the dusk. "I'm not sure I want to do interviews anymore," Lily said. "You don't have to," Amara replied. "You never did. I just want to work, to make things, to fix what's broken." Amara kissed her forehead. "Then do that. That's what power is." They watched a plane rise into the clouds. Lily whispered, "I still remember what it felt like, sitting in that aisle, wondering if anyone would come." "And now?" Amara asked. Lily smiled. "Now I'm the one who comes for them." 2 weeks after returning home from Houston, Lily received a letter. Not an email. A real, honest-to-goodness envelope. White, heavy, hand-addressed. No return name. Just a crest in the corner. U.S. Department of Justice. Amara spotted it in the mailbox first. Her stomach dropped. "We didn't do anything wrong," Lily said, trying to joke. Amara didn't laugh. They opened it together at the kitchen table. Inside, an invitation. Ms. Lily Thompson is invited to testify before the Senate Judiciary Subcommittee on Civil Rights to provide expert youth testimony regarding federal oversight and disability discrimination. Amara read it twice, then a third time. "Is this good?" Lily asked. "It's historic," Amara said. The day of the hearing, they flew to Washington in silence. This time, the flight was calm, accommodations perfect, attendance respectful. Lily didn't miss the irony. It had taken the threat of legislation to make the sky safer. She wheeled herself up the marble steps of Capitol Hill with Amara beside her. TV crews waited outside. She didn't flinch. Inside, the room buzzed with tension. Lawmakers, staffers, lobbyists, activists. Everyone knew what this hearing could trigger. Class action lawsuits, sweeping regulatory reform, political consequences. At 9 a.m. sharp, the gavel dropped. The hearing began. Senator Elaine Washington, chairwoman of the subcommittee, leaned into her mic. "Our first witness is Ms. Lily Thompson of Chicago, Illinois. Ms. Thompson, thank you for being here." Lily adjusted the mic. "Thank you, Madam Chair." She read her statement slowly, but clearly. "My name is Lily Thompson. I'm 12 years old. I'm an aerospace engineering student. I'm also disabled." She paused. "I used to believe that justice was automatic, that if someone hurt you, someone else would fix it." Another pause. "I don't believe that anymore." People leaned in. She told them about the aisle, the spill, the medical neglect, the media, the threats, the silence. "I'm not here because I want attention. I'm here because I don't want anyone else to need attention just to be treated like a person." Senator Washington cleared her throat. "You say in your statement, Ms. Thompson, that systemic change requires design thinking. What do you mean by that?" Lily smiled. "In engineering, we don't patch broken systems. We redesign them. The same should apply to how we treat disabled people." Senator Vargas, more conservative, raised an eyebrow. "Do you believe every incident is intentional discrimination?" Lily answered without flinching. "No, but I believe patterns are intentional, and the pattern is clear." Amara, sitting behind her, wiped her eyes. The room went quiet when Lily finished. Then, applause. Not from the senators, from the crowd. The news cycle exploded. Lily Thompson testifies before Congress. Patterns are intentional. Thompson's Senate moment draws bipartisan support. The Accessible Skies Act gained 22 new co-sponsors. Meanwhile, back in Chicago, the public school district announced it would be launching its own disability inclusion curriculum based on Lily's testimony. And the Department of Education invited Amara to help design it. "You're shaping national education policy now," Elijah told her. "Congratulations, Supervisor Thompson." Amara blinked. "Me?" "Yes, you." At night, Lily sat in her room with a sketch pad, drawing rockets again. But this time, she wasn't imagining them. She was designing one. A letter had arrived from the Marshall Space Flight Center inviting her to participate in a new mentorship initiative for disabled youth in STEM. They wanted her prototype. "I still want to go to space," she told her mom. "You will," Amara said. "Not just visit. I want to go and work. Then we'll get you there." On the anniversary of the original flight, the one where it all began, Amara and Lily returned to the very same airport terminal. Not to fly, but to speak. Delta Airlines had invited them to unveil a new plaque in honor of Lily Thompson, for her courage, her voice, and her vision of skies where dignity travels first class. The terminal clapped. Lily said a few quiet words, then turned to the new class of flight attendants in training. "There will come a day," she said, "when you're tired, stressed, in a hurry, and someone needs help." She paused. "Help them anyway." Then she left. Because justice doesn't live in speeches. It lives in what happens after. Have you ever witnessed a moment where justice should have spoken up, but didn't? Comment, justice. matters if you believe one 12-year-old's voice can shake an entire system. And don't forget to like and subscribe to follow Lily's journey, because what happens after justice is just the beginning.